why do you think that there is less funding for female founders?
So one reason could be that there are less female investors and that men invest in their twins more or less. So my hope is that we can animate more women, senior entrepreneurial females to become investors, and then also do investments in female companies.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Blooming Late Scientists. So you might remember a while back I put out a post on LinkedIn saying I was looking for female CEOs of biotech companies, and I was inundated, but someone who really caught my eye actually, and also was, I think it was Philip Basque, wasn't it, who mentioned you? And then we had a chat and I was just like, yes, this is great. So I want to welcome Beatrix Förster onto the show. And you are the CEO of Doderm. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. And I mean, I just love everything about your company, but I will let you tell everybody what it does. So I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for having you in your podcast. I feel very honored.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, as you already said, I'm the CEO, but I'm also the founder of Doderm, and we care about skin health of humans, but also of pets, so of dogs, cats, and horses. And the specialty is maybe that it's scientifically based. So it's my scientific work that we developed into products.
I just love what you're doing. I mean, one, I love animals. So this makes me very happy. What made you choose kind of veterinary, that space?
Actually, I always loved animals, but I was working in the human field and I did science in the human field. And actually, it was a demand from the market. So it was a demand from the customers. So I was busy with human skin health and doing research on human skin health. And I was discussing with dermatologists, and they said, you have to have a model and you have to know first that it really works. And could you go to veterinarians and discuss with them what their experience is with animals, and could you test it? And then I went to the veterinarians and they said, yeah, but this could be a perfect product for us. So what you are developing and the research that you're doing is something that we really need for our dogs in the first place, because we have a lot of antibiotic resistance that we see. We have to disappoint owners, send them home because antibiotics do not work. We need an alternative, and this looks to be the perfect alternative, what we're working on. So could you do a formulation for furry skin and come back to us, and we just go ahead with a veterinarian product? And that was actually the birth of our veterinarian line. And of course, I'm now surrounded by dog and horse and cat lovers. So, and meanwhile, we have a dog on our own. So it's it's the animal world that I'm in. Yeah, and I love it. So it's really nice. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds amazing. One of the things that I really love about what you just said was that you listened to the market. So often when founders create a product, they're so passionate about the product that they don't listen to the market. And just hearing that you went out there and followed, where the market demand was, is so important, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. So I think I spent the first years, when we had the first prototype, just to discuss with, potential customers, and also, through clinicians, dermatologists, veterinarians, dog owners, people with skin problems. And I learned a lot from them. So, and also the product got better and better. And So I think it's super essential to do that, to really listen and talk and discuss and find a solution together.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a business at the end of the day, you have no choice but to do that. If you want just a passion project that will never be commercial, then I guess you don't listen. Beatrix, tell us a little bit about how you ended up here. So what did your kind of education path look like before that?
Yeah, so I studied human biology. That was quite long ago. So I think in the 90s, end of 90s. And I always knew I want to do research, but I want to do something with a medical or clinical relation. And I want to change the world with what I'm doing. So it has to make a difference for people in the end. And that's the reason why I was always doing research, but it was always in collaboration with companies it always had this translational aspect with it. And I was lucky to have a PhD supervisor who was a serial entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. So I did my PhD in Munich, and he was German, but his former life was in Silicon Valley. And actually, he had the same. So he was doing research, but it was always for purpose. It was always to end up in a medication or in a treatment scheme. And I think that was something that really helped me also to follow my path in that direction. And so I did some steps. So I was in Munich. Then I did a postdoc in Stanford. Then I moved back to Munich in a company. And in the end, I decided I want to have my own company. So I've learned so much by taking all the different steps and following all the different bosses. And now I'm ready to really start my own company. And that was quite late. So I'm not so young anymore, but that was 4 years ago. So
oh, wow. I mean, this show is called Blooming Late Scientist. So, that's fine. And it's never too late, right?
No, it's never too late. I think I think if you draw the decision, it's never the right point in time. So you always think, okay, now the familiar situation is not right, or the kids are too young or whatever. So I think it's never the right time, but you just have to do it. Just have to start and then continue with that.
It sounds like you had the right support. And would you say, that's what makes the difference in your path?
Definitely. I always had mentors behind me that were also pushing me, also mentors, female entrepreneurs. They said, just do it. It fits your character. It fits your skills. Just do it. Just start and don't look back. And they were really pushing me to continue. I think that's one of the most important things, that you have people around you that believe in you, but that also give you the push to make the step out of secure and low risk life into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, because being an entrepreneur, it must be quite scary.
I think it's scary before you do the step.
Yeah.
Because you think about everything that could happen. And for me, it just feels right. So it feels like I have finally found what I am and what I want to, and I'm at the right place.
Did you, when it comes to setting up your company and being a female founder, did you find that you had any struggles, with like funding, or what's your experience of that?
What I see is, so I had some discussions about leadership. So the way that I'm leading people, that I'm leading the company as a woman. So I have a different style. So it's not the bossy dominant style. So I'm more cooperative. I listen a lot to my co-workers, co-founder, the team. I know that people have to get used to it, so that investors have to get used to it, that also the management team has to get used to it. But I'm very transparent and I'm discussing it also. So it's also something that we are talking about. And they told me also, so my former boss was so different, but I really like the way that you're doing it and that you, listen a lot and also integrate the opinion of other people into your decision. And so it's a process. I think it's something that both sides have to learn. Also, I have to learn not to change because people do not accept my leadership way of doing it. And on the other hand, people have to accept that I'm doing it my way.
Yeah, that's so interesting because nobody should ever change who they are, whether they're in leadership or not. But it is so important, isn't it, that we learn to kind of, I guess, be in the presence of people with different personalities and different management styles and leadership styles. And that's quite a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's something, you learn more and more every day. So it's never ending also.
Yeah. So what have your biggest challenges been?
Financing in the beginning. So really to get started with a budget that fits the big dream. Because it's not just one product, it's a whole technology platform and we want to build a product portfolio. So it means not really tiny steps, but the really big picture. I would say that was the biggest challenge, and then really find a good team with some entrepreneurial spirit that go with you, take with you the steps, to go the extra mile with you, and to keep the team together so that they're all highly motivated people, but to keep the high motivation, to address all of they're excellent people also with a lot of experience, to address them in the right way and also keep them busy or keep them also developing further, because they're all at such a high level so that they do not get bored or do not think, okay, that's same, but that you trigger, that you leave, that you stay triggering them.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like because you're a leader that likes to listen to your team, that always helps with development, doesn't it? Because the first step is listening to what your team need in terms of their own development.
Yeah, that's one thing. But the other thing is they're all senior people. They all already made their career. They already know what they want and what they can. So it's listening, but it's also giving them the space to develop further. And if they're already at such a high level, it's also something that's challenging me, of course.
Yeah. So I guess you're both, at the same level, kind of learning from each other.
Yeah. And I'm not a marketing expert. I'm not a sales expert. So we're learning from each other. Yeah. And try to bring ourselves and the company to the next level together. Yeah.
That's interesting, Beatrix, because how have you found learning about sales and marketing? Because as a scientist, your natural instinct is to maybe not quite like sales and marketing. I know. So what's your experience of learning that part of the business?
Yeah, I think I always had some marketing in me because I was always, I always wanted to have something that I can bring into the world. So it was not doing science to do science and to find new things, but really to make a difference. So I realized that I'm not so bad in marketing. I do not have the tools and I'm no expert, but I have a good gut feeling for that.
Yeah.
And sales is really something that I learn by watching at others, how they do it. And I learned a lot in the last years about that it means getting out of your comfort zones, get a lot of no's. So I didn't realize before that it means to have like 8 times no, to wait for the 10th time to have the yes. Yeah, it's a different world. I like it. And I also see it as, this is the final step to get the connection between the science and the market. So it's absolutely necessary to do sales. And it also means to have a loyalty, to have a partnership with your customers, with your distributors. So it's also something that I like, because I like to work together with people.
Yeah.
So it's people's business in the end. It's not only about the product.
No, I mean, if you like people, then it makes sales a little bit easier, because I think that's the first challenge, isn't it? If you don't like talking to people, that's quite difficult to overcome.
Yeah, then it will not work.
No, definitely not.
Sales just by placing posts on social media. You really have to have the one-on-one connection. And,
yes. Yeah, definitely. Face to face, you need to see people.
Face-to-face. Yeah.
So as a woman CEO and a founder, have you found that there have been any barriers for you in your own experience?
So at least I try not to make a barrier, or not to realize that there are barriers. So I see also other CEOs or colleagues as a colleague and as a CEO, and not as a woman or as a man. So I try to be as neutral as possible. And also I see a lot of support and mentorship. I'm not sure about the financing round. When I did the financing round, I know the statistics, so it's much more difficult for female CEOs to get a financing round. And I saw that it was really difficult, and it took some time, and it was difficult to convince people, okay, we do the big picture. So I always saw the tendency of do the small one, do just one product. And we had a discussion, no, I'm not a one-trick pony company. That will not happen. So maybe that is something that I experienced. And the other thing that I experienced is the way of questions that I got. It was always of how can you do de-risking? How can you avoid that this and that happens? And I would have prepared to have questions like, how big can you be? What can be? How can you maximize the market? So what I had in my head of, dreaming big and making the big success. And it was more like making me smaller than I was, and the company smaller than I was. And I think that's really a difference. I would say that most men would have gotten other questions.
That is fascinating. I'd never thought about that aspect. And that's so interesting, isn't it? This is an example of how bias is within us and we don't know. It's just unconscious. Because, people asking the questions probably don't even realize that they're doing that.
Yeah.
It's just a natural thing to do. So I can imagine that was a little bit frustrating for you when you wanted to talk about like how we're going to grow, how we're going to make a success. This is what I've got in place. And then you don't get asked those questions. Yeah, that's a tricky one. Why do you think that there is, you might not know the answer to this. I'm just asking you, so don't worry if you don't. But why do you think that there is less funding for female founders?
So one reason could be that there are less female investors, and that men invest in their twins more or less. So my hope is that we can animate more women, senior entrepreneurial females to become investors, and then also do investments in female companies.
Yeah, that would sound like it would be some way to having some sort of solution, wouldn't it? So maybe we need to encourage more women to become investors rather than founders, because then we will have more founders anyway.
Yeah, the combination. So I think that many female founders could also become investors when they're selling their company, or when they're stepping out of the company when they're older.
Yeah. So in terms of how you've balanced being the founder of this company and, you know, your life, how have you had work-life balance?
Yeah, I do not think a lot about work-life balance in general, because I love working. So I do not feel like working. When I'm working, I feel I do not like to be bored. So I always want to be busy. But of course, we have 3 daughters and I have a husband, and we have moved in between different countries also. And of course, that means to juggle your ecosystem around you. And luckily, I have a husband who really supported me. So we did a lot of long time 50-50, so that he supported me with the kids, and also now, so he's a full professor, but he's doing the shopping and cooking, and the kids are a little bit older, so they are not so much dependent on us anymore. But I think that was for me the key, that we can really divide all the tasks 50-50, and that we understood we both want to make a career, we both want to do what we love. That means full-time job, or actually more than that. But family time also means family time. So if we are with the kids, that really means the telephone is off, or that's really the time that we block for the family.
It's so great that you're able to, because how do you switch off when you love your work so much? It must be quite hard to switch off.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I really can. I can switch off very easily. I can be, but the other, it's also, if I'm concentrated on work, I'm concentrated, I'm really diving into it, and I do not think about anything else. And when I'm at dinner with my family, it's the same. It's just dinner with the family, and I'm curious what happened to the kids during the day, and I'm also 100% concentrated on that. No, I don't know. It doesn't feel difficult for me.
Oh, wow. I think you might be my new inspiration. Honestly, I wish I could, switch off properly. And I find that so difficult. So it's really interesting that you can do that. Let's go back to your company. So Doderm, what actually sets Doderm apart from other products like that in the market?
So the special thing is that we address the skin microbiome, in pets and in humans, and that we do it with a protein. So you have microbiome products that are probiotics or living bacteria, and that are more difficult to control, but we have a standardizable protein, and it's a natural protein. So we isolate it. It's an immune factor. It's antibodies from cow's milk. So it's from surplus cow's milk that is not allowed to be sold as food. So it's something that normally, gets discarded, that nobody wants, and we source it and we isolate the antibodies out of it.
Oh, wow. So you're also kind of you're reusing the waste, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's also, and it's also silly that you throw this away, because there are so precious proteins in it.
Yeah.
That you can use for skin health. And what the antibody do is they bind toxins on the skin. So they avoid that there's skin damage and there's skin inflammation. So it's a new mode of action. It's a different mode of action. And it can also be combined with everything that is already standard treatment or standard care. So there's no.
So is it
No
used
reason.
for is it used for a skin infection or a different kind of condition?
It can be used very broad. So it can be used for skin infection and inflammation, but also if the skin microbiome is already in disbalance, that's before it becomes a skin infection. So normally if you have eczema prone skin and you look at the skin microbiome, you already see that it's not in balance, that you have too many staphylococcus on the skin and not so much microbiome diversity. And that's actually, you do not see anything. Maybe the skin feels a little bit itchy or doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
But it's not a disease. It's not that you would do anything already, but you could already apply the antibodies on it. And because it's a care product, you're free to use it whenever you want to use it. You can use it every day. You can use it when you feel, oh, I see this itchy, flaky skin patch that I want to put something on. And you can also use it if there's already skin infection. And that makes it so interesting because it goes with the newest developments to make proactive care instead of waiting until there's an infection and then do the treatment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a more effective way to do things, isn't it? Because you know, we all know prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great that you're doing that. In terms of where the company is going, what are you hoping for in the next 10 years?
So we have this technology platform to isolate the antibodies, and we know they're from cow's milk. So they're made from the mother cow to protect the calf, but also the gut of the calf. So we're using it now for skin health, but we could use it also for other applications, for mouth, for gut health. And that's what we are also working on. So different concepts that we could use the antibody also on different areas of the body.
So do you still have a lot of research and development happening in the background?
Yeah, we always keep labs, we always have students, and we have a technology officer that is supervising all of that. Yeah.
Wow, you've done such great things. I mean, I just trying to think about your daughters, you know, they must think, wow, my mum's done all of this. Must be, but you know, like having someone, being able to see someone achieve that is important.
Yeah, I think I could be a good role model for my daughters. And I also see that they are very independent, that they are going their own way, that they also make their choices that I like. So that they also decide this is a boyfriend that fits my that is like my dad doing the things at home, or this is the one that is just sitting there waiting for me that I cook or something like that. So it's not that I'm pushing them, but I think it's just I do the way I do it, and I hope that they pick up some things from that.
Yeah. But, you know, what you said there, it's so important, isn't it? Like when I went to university, it was much later in life. So I didn't go to university until I was 30. And I couldn't have done that without having a husband who was willing to pick my children up from school, you know, do the housework. He doesn't cook, but he does do everything else. So that's okay. But we forget often that in the background, there's like this big support network behind us. It's not just us.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to do it. Yeah, it takes a village. Yeah, that's true. That's the saying, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for you, from where you started to where you are now, what has been the biggest influence on your journey?
I think that the start was the hardest, the start of the company, because I had this huge set of data and I could have gone further and further with doing research and collecting more data, and I haven't looked into this and I haven't looked into that. And the biggest impact was a mentor that told me, just start the company now. And it's not a big issue, just do it. And then also stepping out of a working contract and starting the company. That was the biggest step. And I think that had the biggest impact.
Yeah, I always find this so interesting because every conversation I have, in the end, everyone says the same thing. I had a really great mentor and that changed everything. But yet so many companies actually don't use this to their advantage. So they don't provide mentors, but actually that's often what changes things for everyone. So in Doderm, do you have mentorship for your team?
We do not really have mentors. We have a scientific advisory board. And I would say that people there are the mentors for our team. And they're mentors also for specific team members.
Yeah.
It's not really a mentoring program, but I would say they have a mentor function.
Yes. As you grow, is your plan to have a mentoring program?
So I'm looking into different organizations now that also have mentoring programs.
Oh.
And to see if it would be just a mentoring for the management team or if it would be a mentoring for the whole company.
Yes.
Because we also have some young marketing students, for example, that I think it would be so great if they could also have a mentor. And I don't see a system that, I see mentoring programs for entrepreneurs. And
Yes.
I'm also mentor so I have my own mentees that are young entrepreneurs. But I do not see a mentoring program for really junior marketing young professionals. But I would say that it would be great for them to really support them.
Yeah, definitely. Especially early.
Yeah.
Especially early on in your career, it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought that up because actually before we started recording, you mentioned that you were working with students for marketing. And I really love this system where we're working with university students. That's right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such a great system.
Yeah. And they also have the age that fits to marketing. So we want to target younger age groups, and the whole management team is somewhere in between 40 something and 50 something. And that's our target group at the moment. And then we got the marketing students in the team, and I said, are you also addressing people around 20 or I'm not sure. So the way you're doing it looks a little bit old fashioned, and I think we should change that. And they have a lot of ideas. They're very creative. They're very hands-on also. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, you seem very open to new ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think is good.
Super important to be open to new ideas and also, let them have their creative ideas and also try things out.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? This conversation has been wonderful. I've loved talking to you about Doderm and about your journey. It's just been fascinating to hear all about it. And I think I genuinely mean this. I think you might be my new inspiration because you've achieved so much and so positive, open to change. It's quite difficult to find people like that.
Thank you.
But if people want to learn more about Doderm or connect with you, how can they do that?
So they can go to our website, and we try to put more and more information on that so that it really is a source of knowledge in the end at www.doderm.eu. I'm also on LinkedIn, but it's more, I share more my personal thoughts or thoughts that are a little bit related to Doderm, but also to being an entrepreneur or the way, the path that I'm following. And we have social media accounts, Instagram,
Amazing.
Facebook, but it's also the fun things, the marketing things around Doderm.
I'm sure you will have quite a few people visit after this. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
And to everybody else listening, we will see you next time on the Blooming Late Scientists. Thank you.